All I have is thanks to the escort. 15 million in a month was. This is Chanel. I'm not that chick who's like, well, damn, I don't want to today.
I've seen a lot of songs that were in the blood. A terrible picture. This is Arstis, and now he's going to shoot an escort girl. Not on camera, or rather not just on camera. The center of Moscow, 6 in the evening, an ordinary cafe. Stis finds out the prices. How much does it cost to order an escort for a month?
Look, for 4 million. While we are together in the villa, I guarantee that I will never have a headache, that I'm not the kind of chick who is like, well, damn, I don't want today. I will always be in a great mood to look.
At the villa, this means somewhere in Thailand, Bali. 4 men and 1 escort woman will live on it for 30 days.
At the moment when I want to retire there, I'll just drive off somewhere, have fun there, take a walk, and so on. At the same time, we will have sex every day. I love doing it. We can arrange it there, yes, well, let's say not every day, so that my ass doesn't suffer. And after 1 or 2 days, with any boy during the day, I can of course meet separately in the room. We can separately together by the pool, in some other place. Well, in general, so it will be a really cool sleeping pastime.
Our today's issue is about the reverse side of the escort. Who are these girls? How do they get there? And the main thing is that they will never tell you in their blogs.
I usually didn't get sober in this stream. That period, it really was such that it was as if I didn't do it all myself at all. Drink 1 bottle of whiskey into me, let's say into 1. This was to warm up.
At the same time, in the social networks of escort girls, the picture is completely different. Regardless of what is happening in the world, there are crises, cataclysms, wars, and so on. Everything is always as stable as possible here. What an endless fairy tale it is. Expensive restaurants, luxury hotels, just some fabulous money. Nothing touches this business.
My record is 15 million in a month. I have a house. I have 5 apartments. Well, soon there will be 6. I have a car, a watch. I have everything anyway, as if I don't need anything.
Cool. Is there happiness?
There is no happiness.
This is Lyadov and our issue about the reverse side of the escort. People, I want to tell you a story. I was flying from St. Petersburg once, and the plane was delayed, and so decently, yes, that I even had to leave the airport. And I was looking for a place to spend the night through friends. Somehow, there was no one in town. I had to book an apartment, look somewhere on the website. In the end, I kind of found it. According to the photos, it seems fine, but I remember this feeling right. I go into the apartment, there is a huge bed, mirrors everywhere, no furniture, and here is a purple backlight. Really like in a club. I realized that I didn't want to touch anything there. And now I remember this moment. And exactly since then, I have decided that I will not take another step into the unknown. I want to feel safe wherever I spend the night. And since then, I have been booking hotels and apartments only on Yandex Travel at any time of the day or night to know for sure that I myself chose the right one for me using convenient filters. Everything is clear on Yandex Travel. Real photos, reviews, and home support 24/7 right in the app chat. The choice is huge, friends. You can find cool options for both a short trip and a long vacation from 999 rubles a day. It is not for nothing that more than 28 million people use the service every month. For example, there is a hotel near Vostania Square, a double room with 2 beds in July, and there are generally the most popular attractions nearby, from Aurora to the Kunstkammer. And if you are planning a vacation abroad, you can pay for housing with a card of any Russian bank. And now Yandex Travel still has a discount of up to 20% on the promo code CPeople for booking hotels and apartments. I have already booked and am sharing with you. Therefore, I advise you to book hotels and apartments for the summer with a discount on Yandex Travel. The code is on the screen, and I will leave the link in the description. Look, I go to a job search site. Moreover, these modern advertising technologies are arranged in such a way that if the system understands that a young girl is looking for a job, she begins to throw up such offers to her. You know, the salary is firm, 500,000 rubles, acquaintance with influential people, trips abroad, the schedule is free, and there are no bosses, friends. And then for comparison, look, the bastards put the teacher's salary. And the girl should already think about whether I should definitely look for a job as a teacher or still be able to see what's there. For 500,000. You look at how these girls live, they have yachts, jewelry and flowers, flowers, flowers. At the same time, you are not about. And an escort girl, some new fashionable word, you know, just some kind of something, as they say now. They say in modern such an escort girl. It's as if, you know, patriots are being formed around this, something there, some Ferraris, Lamborghini, Dubai, something else. Such a word, in general, as if it were still accepted that, for example, homeless people, yes, do not give flowers. But an escort, as I understand it, apparently it is supposed to. And all this beautiful life, by and large, is not fake. Escort girls can actually receive hundreds, thousands of rubles, and even more in one night. But in addition to all this, they are faced with an incredible amount of tin, which neither they, nor those who sell them, nor these people who send out catalogs and give interviews to everyone, like to talk about. Who is there behind the door of the room, where you came and what he will do to you will never guess. A girl in a cafe in the center of Moscow was lucky this time, because she ran into Arstis, so good-natured, that because of his cute correspondence escorts did not even want to meet him. And his friendly tone in the telegram was too different from the tone that girls were used to encountering. You're even prettier for a reason you came. I didn't come for nothing, let's just say. And I would like to know how much you need to pay. What are you eating there? Maybe you have a rider of some kind.
Well, there is no rider, of course, but sovinishko, fruit, all business, according to the payment. It's for a night. Well, there are 250,000 rubles, if it suits you.
250. Well, you're definitely worth it here. Here. Of course, I would like less, to be honest, because 250 is quite expensive in fact. The list of services also needs to be discussed on the shore and clarified for each item so as not to be disappointed later. But Polina is ready to satisfy a wide range of requests. How are you anyway? Well, because I am. Well, I just love it when I see that a person is pret. That is, there are all sorts there, when they don't do it right, but love it.
Him.
Super. Generally super. So, and there, I don't know who you love.
I love it too. I like it very much.
Do you love? Do you like it straight?
Yes, I love it, of course.
Did you have a feeling that, well, roughly speaking, all the holes are occupied?
No, that hasn't happened yet. There were 2 guys at most, but you can always experiment.
3 nights, 4 boys with us, 3 days in Dubai. Go for a ride, take a walk, go out on a yacht to swim.
Yes, but if in the event that we are not there E24/7.
Look, it's great. Well, that is, it's like more than once by the clock, and it's time for me, will come.
Well, of course, I'm not going to look at the time and be like, well, I really liked you too.
Stis managed to win the girl over, and now she is negotiating with him directly. But just think about it, because he's calling her to hell. Also in the company of 3 unknown men. Wouldn't she be afraid to go? But it's not every day that there is a chance to earn 4 million in a month. And what are you going to do with this money? You don't even need to spend it.
I'll save up the rent. You're not. Well, that's just it. No. Maybe just the moment when I finally did.
It was just a business negotiation about a deal. The girl presents the product with her face and looks luxurious, but very often pain and humiliation are hidden behind such a facade.
Padolam, maybe for me.
Padilim, yes. To record this interview, Stis needed a bottle of sparkling wine, half a watermelon, and all his endurance. Stis spent almost the whole day at her country house. She rescheduled the meeting all the time, said she was out of shape, and generally come back tomorrow. However, this is not surprising. She is still a star of the adult genre. Her name is Lola Taylor, according to the passport of Lyubov Bushueva. Now Loli is 32. She has 5 years in porn, and almost a decade of experience as an escort. And once she was just anyone. She lived in the small town of Ishim, Tumen region, worked as a librarian, and was read by Nabokov. Hence her pseudonym Lola, abbreviated at Lolita, the heroine of Nabokov's novel.
Is there 3 kopecks on the library?
People have been like this all their lives.
And, by the way, I generally respect them if they can, and if everything suits them, and it's good, and thank God, well, I can't do that.
And at the age of 16, Lyuba had a love affair.
Here he has a family, children, that's basically what he wanted. But what I couldn't give him, because I always said, let's try, well, let's try it this way. Well, like we'll try something, not just you and me. He says no, and that's it.
If you didn't understand, then 16-year-old Lola offered her adult boyfriend what in her future profession would be called gangbang, threesome, and more. You broke up because you wanted more in the dual plan.
Yes, I tell him, let's figure something out. Well, I'm young, that is, well, I just want all this.
So I'm a missionary, and that's it.
And he, no, we don't just have a missionary. He was quite a passionate man.
That is, at the age of 16. Well, how does it turn out to be some kind of nymphomania?
Probably, yes.
That's how Lyuba discovered Mercedes and decided to make it her profession. She began to learn the theory from porn films. At the same time, she is still a big fan of this genre. Especially, he says, loves Sasha Grey. Such an American famous porn actress, if anyone does not know. Lyuba dreamed of the same fame as hers, but could not fulfill her dream in Ishim. It's such a small provincial town, with a population of only 70,000 people, factories all around, and not a single porn studio. In search of a better life, she drove off to the most advanced Ural city of Yekaterinburg, and began to beat the thresholds of agencies that were looking for girls to shoot porn.
Even there, the guys called to get married. There was something like that here, and I wanted to go straight to porn. I was looking for a straight agency. The agency was all deceived. That is, well, like, let's cast first, then, well, divorce, in short. Here, I was not led to this. I spent 3 months looking for a place to shoot, and in the end, I found it. They started giving me, well, normal filming, but they were paid very little. But again, this is for European companies. That is, the goal itself was not money in general, but, well, a beauty. I wanted to try everything. All these gangs, all these dabs there, I don't know. I wanted to prove myself. I just knew I could do it. Well, in general, I really did it. Yes, they pay very little. Because, for example, you come on tour, well, to Budapest, as a rule, one shoot of a boy-girl, right, 450. Well, I'm talking about those times when I was filming. 450 euros. There's 600 euros. The forest would be 250, 300 in general for a penny. And that's all day. This shoot is much longer than usual there. There's like 1,000, 1,500.
Even after achieving recognition and fame, Lola could not afford the beautiful life she dreamed of. Why? Because at best it went to zero. That is, think about it. It turns out that porn actresses often pay for their own flights, accommodation. And this fee, which they are paid, is, as it were, barely covered by all these related expenses. But escorts are usually promised full board, and Lola decided to change her profession.
I approached it strategically. At first, I did a lot of filming, just a lot of movies. They started asking if it was possible to meet there, and that's it. And then I realized that you can put a high price tag and work successfully. And it's like I started going on tours and put a price tag. Well, at that time 400 euros per hour, I don't know. Maybe someone will say that this is not enough, but I know that this is normal. All I have is thanks to the escort. And if it wasn't for porn, then there would be a different price in an escort. So that's all. This chain, it led me to everything. The girls who have become porn stars, they earn very well, because they still have OnlyFans. Because they are very expensive to sell as escorts, they spend very much on relationships. That is, a man, in order to take a porn actress for a relationship, puts out $50,000 a month, so that she is in a relationship with him. But the problem is that only straight super tops who are known all over the world earn well. And we can count them on the fingers of 2 hands, relatively speaking. We can count straight very cool and famous porn actresses, and a huge number of porn actresses, for $300 for 10 hours and filming them there. You can swear, because it's simple there. They don't sleep with them, they're purposefully, for 10 hours in a row. Because if someone thinks that porn lasts 2 hours, and they shoot it there for 2 hours, no, they shoot it for 10 hours. And only then successful shots, constant powdering of the genitals and so on. Here, from a 10-hour product, a 2-hour, 1.5-hour product turns out there. At best, the girl will get $300 in 10 hours, that there are 3 20-centimeter ones there. There will be 25 centimeters in all 3 holes. Here's $300. God forbid they'll pay for it. Girls usually do this in order to lead on life-ins, so that accordingly, they watch porn, go to her advertising integration page, and so on. I'm not really a fan of things at all. Well, this is my wardrobe. Everything is homemade here. Here, there, jeans. I've got some sexy costumes here. I have a lot of red bodices there. Well, to be honest, to hell with it. Here, but I mostly like this. This is more strict with me. It's somewhere out there. I don't know. To get out, well, I rarely wear this, because I basically don't go out, I sit at home. By the way, this is my new favorite dress. It's like a sundress, but I love it. It's just beautiful. And it looks just gorgeous on me. I used to like this. Here. When you walk, the most important thing is the soul, not the clothes. I think so. But shoes should be expensive.
Lola is inspired by the paintings of Van Gogh, which she saw during a trip to Amsterdam. Like the great post-impressionist, behind the bright colors in Lola's paintings, gloomy plots are visible.
I had such a period in my life that I was drawing, and she painted in completely different genres. In general, this is one of my paintings. It will look vulgar, like a dog chick, but it's not. There is a very deep meaning here. I just fell in love with a man, and he wanted me to fulfill all his wishes, and I did it like this. This was drawn for me by a fan who fell in love with me from England. He painted this picture for 2 weeks. I was even thinking how I could thank him. Well, of course I thanked him. I drew this picture too. Oh, and one more thing. Let's go show you. This is the picture I drew 2 weeks ago. Here. This is just my attraction. This is my favorite nun. I had such a fantasy, and I wanted to have sex in the costume of this nun, and I found a dude. I put it all on, but he fell. I was given a personalized star from the sky. In general, you can look at it. If I feel like it, I can go look into this too. Here, I have such a small pool with 2 bands, one Benica, and there's a second one. Here, I don't swim at all from the word at all. I don't go to the bath either. I'm afraid to come down here at all. I'm somehow uncomfortable here. Friends come, swim, and I am very happy about it.
She lives in seclusion. The world around her is almost not interested in her. And, to be honest, she doesn't expect anything good from people at all.
I even fell in love with a guy here once. He was young, in short. He came to me as a customer, and he bakes pies at McDonald's. Well, by the way, it's not bad to earn. There are more than 200,000. Well, it's fine. I think he was 22 years old, and I can't say that he broke my heart, of course, but we started dating, and he's still a neighbor. We rode a bike there, did some shit there. The sex was simply divine, and he thought I was really in love with him. Could you lend me 300,000? Otherwise they'll take me away, kill me. Well, damn. Well, isn't this abuse? Of course I blocked it. That is, it turns out he didn't love me, but just wanted my money. There are, well, about 6 million rubles laid out on the table here. These are Chanel, Louis Vuitton, Dior, Gucci, Dolce & Gabbana, Valentina, Bulgari, Prada, Bottega and Burberry, call it what you want. This is my very first gift from a man, dear. A man took care of me then, as in a joke. I asked him to pay the bills in one of the most expensive clinics in Moscow, and after the dentist, after anesthesia, in a regular t-shirt, jeans. We drive into the mall. I don't understand what's going on. We're on our way to Chanel. I understand what's going on. I'm in shock. I've never had this. And then he took the initiative in his own hands to choose a bag. He pointed to this one, says he likes it. I say, I like it, he says. We pack it. And then I even cried. Then he told me that, remember, this is the minimum level of your gifts from men.
Her wardrobe includes closed dresses, strict jackets, and stylish tracksuits.
Classic. Just an ordinary black dress Sherwin suit. White. This is Louis Vuitton. My favorite costume is Alexander McQueen pajamas.
This girl's name is Anastasia Zheleznova. In the network, she is known as Nastya Min. If you believe the caption on her social network, she is, quote, a Mac in communication with men, the owner of 5 businesses, and, attention, the author of social projects. In her spare time, she consults girls online. The cost of an hour session is 55,000 rubles. A lot, but to be honest, it is several times cheaper than the price for its basic services.
The most important quality of an escort is an analytical mindset. At the moment, my life is a fairy tale. At the moment, even when I had already started working with them as an escort, and not just catching cars somewhere, it still couldn't be called a fairy tale, but rather it was some kind of just a prickly Yachensky film. That is, it was great for me. I even miss those times sometimes, but now I can't even pull just the rhythm of work that I had. Jump from country to country, from city to city, move once every 3 days, and so on. In the beginning, even managers were already found, and still they seemed to be missing because I didn't know how to make a portfolio correctly. In other words, I haven't really changed outwardly since those times, but I had such a bad portfolio that I was told that my price was 10,000 rubles for a meeting in general. I didn't even pay for an hour. I often say that I was probably born in a shirt, because the way I started working, I hunted independently in bars, restaurants, went anywhere, without even asking the taxi driver what the final address was. I didn't even ask the taxi driver where the taxi was taking me. That's how careless I am. I came to a bar, to a restaurant. I look, aha, a watch, nothing. Like it needs to be rolled up. Here, I say. I could just stand on Novi Arbat like this. A cool car is standing, that's it. I stretched out my hand. That's it. Got into a wheelbarrow, let's go. But I shouldn't be sitting here alive if I was unlucky. In general, I was very lucky.
In general, Nastya remembers the launch time of her startup vaguely. Now she looks very self-confident, but at the beginning of the journey, she could not do without doping at all.
It was all in the flow, and it was all very fast. And it's hard for me to sort it out chronologically, because, again, I usually didn't get sober in this stream. In other words, this is the period. It really was such that it was as if I didn't do it all myself at all. At that time, to drink 1 bottle of whiskey into me, let's say into 1, was to warm up.
Despite the presence of cameras, smartphones with the ability to track the geolocation of alarm buttons, escorts are still in an unrealistic risk zone.
We were sitting with a girlfriend for something. That was a long time ago. That was probably 3 or 4 years ago. And a young man came. I liked him so much. The general sex was so cool with him. Go back. Well, just kind of sit. But he wasn't rich. And in short, I had a girlfriend sitting here. He went here with this one, with a sword, in short, and I was sitting there. Well, I used to use it, but now I don't. And he walks around with this sword, walks around, and the girlfriend says, well, let go of the sword. And he hits her. She fell here. In short, hit her head, concussion. He took all our phones, car keys, said, just squeak, turned his head away. But I was scared, of course. But I'm sitting, and I'm like this when I do this, so tolerant, calm in general. I say, what are you, a fool or something? As a result, oh, did he take the watch from me? No, the others. These are the ones he broke. That's it. And in the end, how did it end? They found him right away. He didn't give up 1 phone, so I called an ambulance. And as a result, he pissed off.
Lola was often in danger.
I had a bad case from a window on the 3rd floor.
But even this, as it turned out, did not guarantee Lola's freedom. The men went outside and tried to drag the girl back after her. She was saved, think about it, by random passersby who called the police and an ambulance. Lola was eventually taken to the hospital, and her pelvis was fractured, and both her legs were also broken. The men were tied up and sent to jail. And it all started with a seemingly harmless offer to play cards. Instead, Lulu was handcuffed to the bed all night.
Young guy, that's it. We go into the apartment. There I am with my reveler, and he says, turn around like this. I turn around, and he's got him like this right away. Well, he closes his hands like I, and puts this shit on me. A mask or what is it? And that's it. And there's already a second one. But the second one is evil. He is a straight evil, bad person. Here he is straight. I have a strong grudge against him.
Out of resentment, Lola wrote a statement to the police. And these freaks, thank God, were imprisoned. Although she even tried to stand up for one of them.
And I immediately said to the first one, you cannot even plant him. That is, he was like that as his pawn. He's young, well, maybe he got lost. But then again, even as he pretended. And all the most basic wounds were made by that bad one. And they gave him more.
Some girls are sure that success is guaranteed not by long legs and big breasts, but by business skills and an analytical mindset. Here, for example, Nastya, a Muscovite, a girl from a decent family. She opened her first business before working as an escort. She and her sister had an equestrian club. Agree, such an elite straight business, right? But the self-made woman has never been her role model, and even in a school essay, she wrote that she dreams of a profession, quote, the wife of a millionaire. That's the profession. But somehow it didn't work out with the marriage.
I joke that I have collected all the matryoshka of unsuccessful relationships that can only be collected. Yes, there is an abuser, a rag, a drug dealer, everything is all gathered together there. In the end, there was a man old enough, manipulative. I was in such a very vulnerable position, and those relationships with this last man, they hurt me very much. Let's say I'm on a certain wave of anger, hatred of men in particular. This stream of hatred for men led me to an escort in the end. That is, I came there with the idea that I would fuck them all, take their money, that's it. And then, in the course of work, it so happened that men rehabilitated themselves in my eyes. Here, and that hatred, that anger, kind of went away.
By the way, the desire to take revenge on men is one of the most common reasons why girls come to escort, along with a lack of love, self-doubt, and other complexes and psychological traumas. Take, for example, Lola. Her childhood was so traumatic that all life settings were knocked down, and she was looking for love and sex.
Mom died. Dad drove her. Well, our dad is like that. I think I have the genes in it, but it's like we haven't talked to him for 2 years now, and now we've started talking. We didn't communicate because, well, honestly, I don't even want to say it now.
Well, I see. Well, that is, you didn't have some kind of moral barrier here, as I say, your help.
Not at all. They accepted everything right away, because I helped them all. I bought my dad an apartment, although he told my grandmother when we were little, take their dick out of here. Well, he likes to take a walk, but we interfered with him. That is, I am clean in front of everyone.
People, while you haven't watched the video to the end, subscribe to the channel and click on the bell so as not to miss the next issue. We are already preparing it for you. And if you have something to say, welcome to the comments. I will be glad to know your opinion about this film right now.
Dad took it very easily. Dad said that I live in the modern world. He still lives as if with his old head. Accordingly, I know better how to live in a new world. Mom was being prepared for the fact that, say, my sister and I, we thought together how we would tell Mom. Then it was, in my opinion, the second season of The Kept Women was coming out, and I didn't watch the first season of The Kept Women with them. And secondly, in my opinion, we already watched it together. Then, we reviewed the memoir of a geisha there. We reviewed one of the Boleyn family. Well, in general, we reviewed various films and TV series that somehow dealt with the topic of escort, talked about these topics. And when we realized that Mom seems to be quite loyal to all this, that is, we reason and say, well done, girls. She's like, well done, girls. Here, well, about the characters from the series. Mom, of course, did not expect that all this was done in order to make such a communal. Mom is still at the adoption stage. Yes, sort of, not in a difficult stage of acceptance, in such a kind of already. When I started acting, I was clearly going towards this goal. I knew I wanted it. I wasn't shy that someone would find out. Well, damn, it's my wish. I wanted it. That is, I really wanted to. Here, I took off. The next day my friends even wrote to me, isn't that you there? I say, well, yes. Here, Grandma found out, Dad found out. But they all reacted normally, because I'm not a bad person. I have never done dirty tricks, nasty things, vindictiveness to anyone. Only on the contrary, I help there, yes, I do. And what to do?
By the way, when Lola was just starting her career in this adult movie, she really could probably compete with Molly Anderson. Because then she looked like this. Only here she did not achieve world fame. I had to retrain as an escort, although she still doesn't know all the nuances of her new job.
What is the difference between escorts? Honestly, I don't know. It seems to me that this is the same as the escort. You sell for money anyway, right? No. Oh, just an escort. Yes, in short, fuck knows, to be honest. If we compare an escort, it's more like a cafe, an escort is more like a restaurant. In other words, the restaurant has a different atmosphere. The task in the restaurant is for you to sit and enjoy as long as possible. Every dish is served, presented, beautiful entrances and exits, beautiful restrooms, everything is great. Everything is convenient. Everything is for comfort, so that there are impressions and emotions.
It's a beautiful comparison, but if we talk about the fact, there is a more tangible difference between them.
There are 15 minutes, 30 minutes an hour, and, as a rule, the extension goes further. That is, an escort, as a rule, is already immediately taken there for 3 or 4 hours on a basic basis. They can take 2 or 3 there, usually they take it for an hour, and then extend it further. Because the escort girl is the task of doing everything gently. Gently, for example, to bring the meeting to an end. Let's say she is escorted for 2 or 3 hours. Her task is in 3 hours, or to bring the meeting to a logical conclusion and not let the man fly somewhere far away that he will not end the meeting logically, or to bring to the fact that the man will prolong. And the alarm clock rang, that's it. Kick under the door. Come on, I have the next one. Roughly speaking, this is the story.
What were the most unusual requests from customers?
Well, it happened that we were in a rented apartment in Paris, and there was a tree growing there. A stick. Tear off this stick and beat me like that. Like you're a normal person. I say, first of all, we will deduct a fine for a tree. Come on, do it. So I tore off the stick and drank it. He asked. It hurt me, but he asked.
On the ass of the closet.
Well, yes, with traces up to the blood there. Well, there was a stick like that. Well, it's not a stick, this flagellum here, but a straight stick. He unhooked all these things for himself here, these cloth espins, and I didn't know. I thought we should make them like this at once. Well, what will I do? He says, no, we need to be careful. Well, it's like that too. Well, I don't like all that. I'm going to pop there for 5 minutes according to the classics, and that's it. I'm like such a lady.
By the way, do you love yourself? And there, I don't know. You.
I love it, but according to the mood. Now I don't have it at all. It's been 2 months. I don't know what's wrong with me.
I like this professional one, like in porn. Never that's right deep in the throat. I'm sorry for the details, please.
No, it's fine.
How are you doing with this?
Well, the throat worked out. Developed.
Look, it's great. Well, that is, it's like more than once by the clock, and it's time for me. Well, we'll come there.
Well, of course. I'm not going to look at the time and be like, well, I really liked you too. Therefore,
this, does it matter?
You know, when there's a general vape of some kind. For example, we only talk for a few minutes, and I like what you say. I like the way you present information about sex. And it definitely matters already. If you were to come to this, I want to kill you in the mouth. I want to put you in Iraq. I want to plant you up to the tonsils. That wouldn't be the joke anymore. Well, I'd be like this already. Well,
I honestly want to. Well, that is.
Damn. Well, the pitch. The pitch is different.
And what? I can count on a discount then if I tell you.
So, what kind of discount do you want? Anything is possible. You can agree on everything.
In short, professional escorts. Their service is a little better, so the price tag is higher for them. That is, conditionally there. The minimum earnings for an escort will start somewhere from 30 to 50,000 rubles. And there are no limits to this amount at all. That is, if they differ from escorts, in that they simply earn more. This is probably really the main difference from escorts. One meeting with Lola, by the way, costs 40,000 rubles, and the night, 200,000. This is a good, strong price tag, but far from the limit.
When you work in this industry, you don't think that you have a lot of money, because you see how much money your customers have, and realize that you are just, in general, everyone you've ever known, all taken together, are beggars compared to them.
And the main desire here is to become, in fact, as rich as their clients. By the way, it is interesting that of all the professions, of service personnel have always been the biggest appetites. As Nastya says, she spent all 4 years of her career going to the earnings that she now has.
Now the spread has become very large. Now I earn if, let's say, their last year, and on average it was 3 or 4 million. Then now the range is from 1.5 million to 6 million.
Up to 6 million. million a month. This is not for a year, friends, in a month. Let's open up the latest statistics on average salaries in Russia for a second now. Here are the Rosstat data for the 24th year. In Russia, on average, they receive 87,952 rubles. The biggest salaries, of course, are in Chukotka. There are 185,000. In Moscow, by the way, 20,000, even less. That is, people who work in severe weather conditions can accumulate this amount only in 32 years. For some, this is more than the entire work experience for a lifetime. And here, friends, in 1 month. But this is also not the limit.
My record was 15 million in a month, thanks to the pet in many ways.
To be honest, when I heard this amount, I didn't believe it. Well, it can't, in fact, process such amounts. But let's do the math anyway. That is, according to Nastya herself, one meeting with her costs about 400,000 rubles. We divide 15 million by the cost of one such meeting and get 37.5. That is, so many men had to go through it in 1 month. But if you believe Nastya, then she also has quite generous tips.
In any case, this is such a certain flow of different works. Here, well, plus again, working with constants. It's also very important. Because anyway, at one-time meetings, in order to make 6 million, for example, at one-time meetings, it's me, of course. I'm not a very good mathematician to calculate it right now like this, how many times it is necessary, how many men to take. That is, this money as a rule is made on regular men who, in a fit of feelings, love and passion, can immediately give $20,000, $30,000, $35,000 for one meeting there at once. I stopped counting after 80 sexual partners, but I think that I still haven't counted 100, not exceeded, let's say, here, although usually for my work experience, well, on Escort, there can be safely 2,000 or 3,000 partners.
Thousands.
Yes. 2,000 or 3,000 partners are usually escorted here for this experience as a rule. It still turns out here, and I didn't throw 100 at me.
In general, of course, listening to Nastya, there is a feeling of some kind of strange advertising. She tells how she is, you know, so successful, earns a lot of money. But it's important not to forget how she gets them. No one even sees how they give her such money. And it looks, I must say, is not always normal. She affectionately calls one of her clients a pet. It is because of his generosity.
He didn't care. I could grow up to $20,000, and nothing would have changed much for him. This money still needs to be able to give beautifully, with care, you know, with warmth, with love. You know, sometimes they just throw it like that and like, although he also did it once. So he just threw it. It wasn't very pleasant either. And then, of course, I took them, and it was automatically very pleasant. But at the moment, it was not very pleasant.
They threw money in your face, or handed it to you, kneeling down. By and large, it doesn't matter. Yes, it hurt a little, but the thickness of the pack clearly levels the humiliation. Nastya herself justifies such big earnings by the fact that she has to do a lot of preliminary work before being with the right man. And it is necessary to invest not only in appearance.
There is more, let's say, intellectual activity here, because I know how it sounds that there is more intellectual activity in the escort. I understand perfectly well. Here, I'm already looking forward to comments about this line. Well, yes, there is more intellectual activity here, because you need to be creative enough. It is enough to have an analytical mindset in order to predict where you need to go, what kind of portfolio you need to make, what exactly to say to this man. Study psychology, right? Because again, there is a man who is quite closed, which you understand. He is such a cool man. He would like to get him on a regular basis, but he is closed. He needs to be revealed. He needs to feel that you can be trusted.
Lola got into different situations. She was deceived, beaten. And she remembers it in some very different ways. It may even seem that with some ease. But one situation just broke her. She can't have children after her.
Why did everything work out for me all my life, but it didn't work out here? A normal man was a Zaznik, drinks only tea. I've known him there for almost 10 years. As we agreed, as we will that, and then something didn't work out. And it broke me down a lot. Although I seemed to be trying to smile there, but it broke me down a lot. After that, they even put me in rehab for a nervous breakdown. It really knocked me down.
Listen, whatever it is.
Now I'm going to pour some wine for myself.
Why don't you make money as an artist?
I don't want anything. I have apathy. I have depression. I haven't been out of the house for weeks. I've already forgotten what a street is. I've been sitting at home for weeks. A friend comes to me, takes out the garbage there, will transport it to me. I brought some beer over there. I don't leave the house at all.
Depression depending on alcohol and illegal substances is a very common problem among escorts. The employee retires early, and the window of opportunity closes around the moment when the first wrinkles appear on the face. But if Lola talks about it openly, Nastya avoids a direct answer, as if she is still afraid herself. Come on then, you can remember all these difficulties, at least psychologically.
Do you understand what the difficulty is? For example, I can tell you a story about how my friends and I saved a girl who was at a party. We didn't know her at all. She wrote there in a general chat, like save, help. So she was kind of beaten there, and something else. In general, we literally pulled her out of there, arrived there well. She remembered her number and everything, and so on. We got her out of there. And it seems like, yes, the person must have had some serious psychological trauma. But the next day she went to work and met a man with whom she still meets. Yes, that is, I just didn't have any tin in my close circle.
It seems that Nastya's concept of tin has blurred over the years. Well, how can you feel like a normal girl who was locked in a room and beaten?
Well, yes, it happens that a girl can. For example, she went somewhere to a country house. They locked her up there, held her for 2 days. They could also mock her somehow, and so on. She's like this. You don't have to go to country houses. That is, I think in this direction, that if you go to country houses, and you go to yachts that sail the devil knows where, you're not going anywhere firm, they're like from a submarine, then, of course, you will have situations in life in which there will be very unpleasant as much as possible. But I have a button as if something is wrong, I call it. I always take an advance payment and go to someone I don't know. He always buys a ticket. That is, I see all the names and exactly what was bought. Brand new, not brand new, prepayment, and come, because at least there is some data there anyway.
When I went to the scene, but I saw a lot of murders and girls, and, well, there were all sorts. This is Interior Ministry, Colonel Yevgeny Chernousov. In the USSR, he served in the main criminal investigation department as a senior operative for particularly important cases, investigated thefts, stopped drug trafficking, and related crimes. And he knows perfectly well where dreams of a beautiful life sometimes lead. For the first time, I saw how this throat, then it turned out with a shoemaker's knife, how the fence and the whole tree were sprayed. It was summer, everything was covered in blood. It's a scary picture, and the first version of the most working one was that she suffered because she participated in a criminal group as a drug dealer. And apparently she did not give the money owed and so on. And so she was punished. In general, until 1987 year, it was believed that the USSR did not exist in principle. It really existed, of course, only in another world, somewhere out there in the decaying West. And when Mikhail Gorbachev took over the country and perestroika began in 1985, journalists unearthed this dark side of Soviet society, and it turned out that after all, it also exists here. In fact, even then there was such a clear hierarchy. Representatives of the lowest caste were called shoulder. They lived near the tracks and served truckers. A little higher in the rating were ordinary Rublevki girls who were looking for customers in cafes, restaurants, and just on the streets. Well, there were high priestesses in the top. These are the same interdevachki circulating between expensive hotels like Metropole, in tourist, Cosmos, and hunting foreigners with dollars. Criminals actively used it for their own purposes, and the task of operas from the organs was even to recruit them. In other words, it was necessary to have agents in the criminal environment. It was easier to fit it. That is, girls of easy virtue were well suited to the role of those who could be recruited, and that they would leak the necessary information to the cops. Not everyone was suitable for the role of such agents. Education and intelligence were important, and each had individual training. It can be 4, 5, 6 months before implementing. Not just implemented there, no, but because life is at stake there. Life, health, and the operation may fail. They were really erudite, they knew languages, necessarily languages, several languages were prepared such that, well, it's nice to talk. And even those seasoned, let's say, spies who, and they relaxed with their erudition, they attracted and relaxed so much. And when he relaxes at this time, and with alcoholic beverages, and even if there is a bed, where it's work, it's all business. There can be anything to tell. Such girls took a terrible risk, because in a bad scenario, it was possible not to find traces of her. They gave such information that no one would have given even from a criminal environment. But if they found out that she had given the information, it would be an exact death. They just kill the body, the head, and so on, and then take everything to different regions, to different republics. Different regions. You can't open it, it's hard to open it. The head was found there, the staff buried it there. And why would they disclose? How will they solve this crime? There's a body there. These crimes are the most difficult to solve. And I just had a case when a light girl was also killed, beaten, found in different places. Nastya clearly plans her future. She is already thinking about marriage, and there is also a price tag here.
I say, I plan to have a solid business by the age of 30-35, and I'm not talking about escorts. I say, I want a solid, white, snow white, fluffy business by 30-35. Therefore, I will not say that I will be a straight-kept woman who will depend entirely on her husband. Yes, rather, it is just important to me that my husband takes on some major large-scale expenses so that I can feel for him. Yes, that is to be a husband. I can't imagine a relationship with a man who doesn't give money. That is, it's just about a white sheet, if you try to imagine it. There's just a monkey that's clapping his hands in a plate like that, because there's not even such a performance.
All right. How long does it take for you to fall behind?
Well, I gave the pet $150,000 a month.
Look, $150,000 is 12.5 million rubles. The average salary of an experienced IT specialist is, well, about 250-300,000 rubles a month. For a year, he, accordingly, receives somewhere 2 or 3 million rubles. That is, with all his desire, he, an IT specialist, yes, will not be able to afford even a month of relations with Nastya. It's not like keeping a wife with such requests. What can we say about the simpler guys? And Lola, she says, is not so demanding. She does not roll out a man's bill, she needs warmth and care. Now Lola realizes her maternal instinct through her own niece. Her name is Tanya. She is only 17 years old. In a year, it will be possible to go into the profession like her aunt once. But Tanya, having seen the underside of this industry, is in no hurry to follow in Lola's footsteps.
We have been close to each other all our lives, and in principle, this is my best friend. This is my second mom. I love her very much. I know what I want out of life, and my aunt doesn't interfere in any way. On the contrary, I look at her experience, what she went through, and I can say that I am gaining this experience. She gives me advice. I realized what this profession is fraught with, what dangers there can be, what harm people can bring psychological to impose on another person.
And what kind of psychological consequences do you observe in love? Such that it overlaps, well, good prosperity, so to speak.
First of all, it's hard to build a family. I think that's what she has problems with. Against this background, breakdowns, both emotional breakdowns, and break down into not very good things. These are some kind of psychotropic substances here, and depending. There are a lot of dependencies that she is struggling with. I consider that an escort. This is not the way out. I despise it, because for me an escort girl is, well, spoiled like that. How would it be now to say, there what will happen in 20 years? I can't, because our concepts are changing anyway.
At the age of 17, Tanya thinks she knows a lot about this life and even formulated advice for you.
In fact, there is no need to be corrupt escorts now. Look for another way. In fact, there are a lot of areas now where you can develop, earn a lot of money. Do not sacrifice your health, your emotional state, because it greatly shakes the psyche. There are a lot of dependent people now. I really hope that everything will be fine for everyone, and no one will go down such a dirty path.
Do you believe? As if not very much. As if in the modern world, no matter how hard you try, it is no longer possible to escape from the criterion of evaluation with money, the evaluation of all people, men, women. As soon as there is a conversation about this, the prepared advice seems to fade into the background. Do you have any other feeling, or are you going to look for a rich boy for yourself?
I'm going to look for a 100% secured boy for myself. Because everything that my aunt showed me, she showed me a very good life, and I just can't be with a person who is not very good in terms of income, not very good earnings. I want a high salary so that a man has. After all, earnings are not only about commercialism, it's about a man's desire for something in life. I will be with a person, exactly the one I love. After all, I had my first experience with the first guy. He had nothing at all. Mom will give it for 100 rubles for beer, and it's fine. But together with a nice paradise in a hut. But this experience actually made me realize that I don't really need to look only at these feelings. This falling in love. You need to look at the potential of a man.
And here I really want to repeat for Tanya and for everyone else the main words of her aunt, which she said at the beginning.
I have a house. I have 5 apartments. Well, it's going to be 6 soon. Here, I have a car, a watch, more precisely. Well, it's all there anyway, as if I don't need anything.
Cool. Is there happiness?
There is no happiness.